This is a Dana 44, I believe. It is out of a Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I'm going to say, I'm not exactly sure of the years, but I'm going to say from the 70s up until like the early 90s or something, I think they use these. It's a little crusty. I picked these up in New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey, as a matter of fact. Kind of a rough neighborhood, but the guy is a real Jeep guy, and he has a lot of these Jeeps, and I was able to find these axles for pretty cheap. So I think I got the set for like $400 or something like that, and it's Dana 44 in the front as well. So I'm going to start working on this. So the good news is the drums are turning. Let me go check the other side, make sure that one's turning. That one's turning. So let's see, what do we got here? That one's a little rough. Oh, no, it's turning. Good. So that's going to make it a little easier there. So one of the reasons why I like these axles is because the backing plates were in decent shape on them, so I didn't have to worry about them being rotted or trying to replace those. And yeah, I think this is going to be a great fit for this truck. The thing with the Jeep Grand Wagoneers, they had two different, in that J-Series trucks for the Jeeps, they had a wide track and a narrow track axle. These are the narrow track axles, and they're actually only about an inch or two wider than what the S10 axles are originally. So these are going to fit nicely, and they're going to not look too weird underneath the truck, because I'm not looking for that big, you know, crazy rock crawler, real wide axle kind of look. I'm looking for something that could be kind of almost like a slightly modified stock is what I'm looking for. Something a little higher than stock, but not like obnoxious and crazy. So it's kind of what I'm going for here. So yeah, I'm gonna start working on this. I got to clean it up. Not sure about all these brackets. I know that the spring bracket is going to have to get removed, and I'm going to have to weld new ones on a little further inboard, because the S10 is a little narrower there. So, and as far as the shock brackets go and stuff, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I might have to move those, replace them. It looks like I might be able to get away with just cutting those and moving them, which would be really cool, because I'm cheap and I don't want to spend money I don't have to. So alright, you'll see some of these guys that make these videos are fortunate enough to live in parts of the country where they don't have to deal with a lot of what we have to deal with up here in the northern states, and particularly New England. These rear ends get pretty rusty and pretty crusty. So you have to deal with that, and you have to figure out, you know, you just have to take your time, and you have to be a little more thorough and plan ahead a little bit. So part of what I do is when these bolts get real rusty and crusty, I take a wire brush and I will break away all the loose stuff, everything that's loose around the bolts. And so you can see where, you just want to get the crusty rust and the loose stuff off, so that when you spray the penetrating oil on, you can actually start penetrating somewhere where it's useful, and not just all the flaky rust that's going to absorb all your penetrating oil. So that's what I do, is I go around and I clean these things all up, and I already did that to this rear axle. So now I'm just going to spray some penetrating oil on there. And what I use this PB Blaster. I've tried all the other stuff. Some of it works pretty close to what this does, but this is really the best stuff. I don't really have anything that's better than this that I can say. There's probably things out there that are the same, and then there's a lot of stuff out there that's not even close. So some people say WD-40 works. Don't believe them. WD-40 is not a good penetrating oil, but this stuff, this PB Blaster, works really great. So this is kind of what I use for the most part. So I'm just going to spray all these bolts down now. And I'm going to spray everything. Just a little bit everywhere. Because I'm going to let this sit for a couple days. And once Once it penetrates, everything should just come right out. Well, there you have it. Still smoking from being hot, from the heat wrench. You see, a little bit of heat, big fucking hammer, and my trusty little pry bar. Popped right off. Took a little work, but let me talk about this little pry bar I have. It's actually a big screwdriver. This belonged to my grandfather. You can see the end of it is all beat up because I use it mostly for beating on shit and getting stuff taken apart. And the reason for that is because the metal shaft goes all the way through the handle. So it's really useful for beating on stuff and knocking things out. So what I was able to do is I was able to get to the back side of the drum here and hit it on a really good angle because I was able to get this inside behind the drum and start pounding on it, which is good because I didn't want to damage the backing plates because these backing plates are in really good shape. If I don't have to buy backing plates, it's money better spent elsewhere. So yeah, sometimes these old tools are better. I don't really know what brand this is or what, but it was in my grandfather's toolbox, and my grandfather is long gone. Died in 1999. I was able to grab this from his garage when he... Yeah, so going to gently persuade all of these. I use an old pipe as a breaker bar. It's not the most ideal situation here because I could break these and then it's a real pain in the ass, but I'm going to be real careful not to break them. So you want to kind of feel what the bolt's doing. Alright, this one's turning, so I'm pretty comfortable with that one. Alright, that'll work too. Hopefully I'm going to be lucky on all these. You know, I'm going to spray them a little one more time. One more time with the PB Blaster. Because I really don't want to get into drilling and tapping these things out. Ooh. Well, it felt a little crusty, but it went. Yeah, that one's gone too. Good. So far, so good. Happy, happy. Things working out. I like it. Yeah, I could have just used a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, but I like having the long handle on this. And this is a 6-point socket too, so this helps. All my 1/2-inch drive stuffs are 12 points, and those are a little more likely to strip the head out. I like having the 6-point on these when I'm trying to struggle with them. Because who knows when this was taken off last, if ever. Gentle leverage is better than trying to, just schwantz it and freaking break the bolt. So you want to give it some little bit, put some force on it, and you kind of let the bolt do what it needs to do. Just take your time with it. Don't try to rush, because all you're going to do is create more work for yourself. My grandfather used to say something along the lines of, "The hurrier I go, the behinder I get." And if you rush on this stuff, I can feel it. You just kind of put some tension on it, and then it releases. That's telling me that it's moving. So, and you just want to do that gently until it starts turning on you. It's better than having the bolt fall out or break off, and then you're drilling and tapping and doing all that bullshit. So. Yeah. Alright, so I managed to get them all loose and broke free without breaking any of them, which is pretty good. Just going to grab my deep socket, help me out a little bit, a little more maneuverability with the deep socket. So, on these here, you're just going to loosen up the top ones. You don't want to take the top ones all the way out yet, because all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tip the cover back a little bit so I can get all the fluid to come out of it first. Really enjoy making all these videos. I'm having I don't know if you call it a midlife crisis, but I've been doing the same job for about 20 years now. It's a middle management job, and it kind of sucks. And the more entitled society gets and feels, the harder it is dealing with people. I love all the people that work for me, but they, it's just not what it used to be. So I'm growing kind of tired of it. So I want to do different things in life, and while I'm still young enough to make something happen, but old enough to know how to do it right. And I should have gotten into this automotive thing when I was younger, and I kind of started that way. Went to college for it, got ASC certified early on, worked at a dealership for a little while, and I hated it. I hated working in a dealership. But I like working for myself, and I like doing projects like this, and customization work and things like that. So if I can make a go of it with that, I think we'll be pretty good. So if you guys like this stuff and you want to see more of it, please feel free to reach out to me and Tell me if I'm doing good, tell me if I'm doing bad. And we can definitely come up with some good stuff together, some good viewing. And if you have questions about anything, see, I'm by no means an expert. I'm always learning every time I come out here. So if there's something that you want to learn about, or something that you know about that I'm doing wrong, or that you want to teach me about, feel free. Feel free to let me know that I'm doing right or doing wrong. So, all right, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to pop this cover off now. I'm going to pry it up. Let this fluid out. Hopefully it doesn't make too much of a mess here. I hate making messes in my garage, but I'm sure this stuff's going to stink. So let's take this cover off. Let's see what it looks like inside there. I don't know. These are used axles. I bought them. Never driven the vehicle that these were in. So let's take them off. Take off this cover and see what happens. See what we got inside here. I don't know. We'll see. Got my little screwdriver, my little hammer here. Pop it in the back here. That's not a good sign. There's nothing in it. It's dry. So everything turns here. Seems to function well enough. Differential's working. I turn this one way and the other side goes the opposite way, so I don't know. I'll take the rest of these bolts off and see what we got in here. I'm a little disappointed it's so dry. I don't know how that's possible. I thought for sure there'd be some fluid in this thing because it doesn't look like these bolts have ever been taken out. So that's kind of weird that there's no bolts in it. I mean, no fluid in it. No, it looks pretty good. It's there's no oil in it, but it's nice and clean. There's no metal fragments. There's you know what? I might just wing it. I might not even rebuild these things. They look pretty good. Oh yeah, you know, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, some expert will probably go in there and measure it all up and do some backlash measurements or something like that, but I'm going by feeling. Got a little bit of backlash, you know, a little bit of play, but it's not bad. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to run it. I'm going to see what happens. The worst case scenario is it's a Dana 44. There's parts for this thing. If I drive it and blow it up, I'll take it apart and fix it. But for now, I spend the money on it. I'd rather spend the money on an engine or something like that. But I am going to clean these things up. So I have to get these axles out so I can get these backing plates off of here. So I've never done this part. So I'm going to turn the camera off for a little while and I'm going to research this. And then I'll turn it back on. And then we'll know how to take this apart. Because like I said, I'm no expert. I'm learning as I go. And I'm here with you guys, and I'm learning with you. So, I'm pretty happy with this. This is good.